Welcome to another episode of USATF Journey to Goals Old podcast. If you're seeing the smiles right now, it's probably because we had some fun right before we started. But I'd like to introduce the man of the hour. First, I'm Wallace Spearmon Jr. with my host Amy Begley, and we are bringing in the man of the hour, Mr. Grant Fisher, who had a really fun summer. What's happening, man? Welcome back. Lots changed since we saw you last.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Last time I saw you all together on a podcast was in New York. I've seen you guys since then in person, but yeah, it's been a wild summer. A lot of changes, a lot of excitement, and yeah, it's been real fun.
So are you done for this year? You taking a break for a while?
I'm done. Yeah. So yeah, after the games, I was just fried. My legs were cooked, and mentally, emotionally, I was super tired too. And tried to do one more race after the games a few weeks later, and just I just blew up. I just didn't have any gas left in the tank, and yeah, shut it down, and been taking a little time off, which is nice, and doing things that I just can't do when I'm training really hard, and visiting my friends and family, and there's things you just have to miss when you're locked in leading up to a championship. So kind of squeezing those in now because I know we'll do it all again next summer. So yeah, it's been a nice little burn to get a little itchy though, a little antsy to get going again.
And what are those things that you're trying to squeeze in?
Like my brother lives in Toronto, going up to see him. My parents live in Texas, going to see them. I'm on the East Coast right now in Boston, visiting my girlfriend and a couple friends out here. Um, Gonna have a bunch of my high school friends over to my house in Park City and hang with them, and going to my hometown, Grand Blanc, Michigan. Got a little homecoming parade and homecoming football game, and stuff like that. So I'm on the move quite a bit over the next month.
You need an assistant to keep up with that schedule. But I was going to ask about a parade. Most people have a parade when they come back. So, yep. And for you, I mean, I will say that everyone is giving you credit for starting off the games because, you were Team USA's first medal on the first day, and then everybody medaled after you. So what was that like kicking that off for the USA men's team?
Yeah, I mean it was super cool. I like going first, just because when you're waiting around and watching all these people go through the emotions of, you know, meeting their goals or not meeting their goals, and you're just kind of sitting there twiddling your thumbs, waiting for your turn. That can be kind of stressful. So I really like that the 10K is on the first day, and yeah, it it went just as well as I thought it would. It was a really fast race and got a medal out of it, which I was so excited about. And um, yeah, it seemed like after that, everyone believed that they could get a medal too. I think there's a lot of people in the U.S. that have been in the medal positions in the past, and so maybe it's a little more routine for them. But I think there are a lot of first-time medalists out there, especially on the men's side, and I think just a little bit of belief and a little bit of feeling like we belong at the top. It goes a long way. So even going into my 5K, that was the very last day of track. I had seen so many other guys medal, and I had way less pressure at that point. But I was thinking, all these people have medaled too now, and I'm part of that crowd now, so why not go for another one? So yeah, I think yeah, getting on the podium is maybe a little contagious. I think going for it, maybe when you haven't proven that you're at that level yet, um, is when's a better time to do that than at the Olympic Games? So there are a lot of people that I think surprised out there, and it was fun to be a part of.
Absolutely. So look, you know me, man. I'm about to get straight to it. I like the stories behind the stories, so you might as well buckle up. You ready?
All right.
All right, so let's check this out. So we're going through our normal routines. I don't know if you know what Amy and I do whenever we're there, but we're behind the scenes. We're trying to make sure everything is going smooth and you all don't feel any problems, no stress, no nothing, right? So I get a phone call from Amy, and she's frantic. Grant skipping the medal ceremony. He just got his medal. He's going back to altitude. He's gonna double down and bet on himself. And I'm like, cool, let him do it. No, hold on. We gotta make sure it's okay. And I was like, she's right. Like, talk to us about that, man. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but you were literally about to bet on yourself and go handle business rather than celebrate. So, what was going on in that moment?
Yeah, so if you rewind a little bit and go to the Olympic trials in Eugene, I did the same thing. I ran the 10K, and then the next day I went back to altitude and stayed up there until the 5K prelim. So the reason I did that was because I wanted to do that at the Olympic Games and was practicing it at the trials basically to see how it went, and it went really well. I felt great. So the plan was to do the exact same thing at the Olympics. So ran the 10K. Um, I didn't know that the medal ceremony was the next day. I thought the medal ceremony was the same night as the 10K. So I had a flight booked for 9 a.m. the next day. And so I finished the race, celebrate, I'm so excited. And then I realize, or someone tells me, like, hey, medal ceremony's tomorrow night at like 7 p.m. or something. So then I was talking to my coach, do I skip the medal ceremony, this moment that I've dreamed about my whole life, in exchange for an extra 24 hours at altitude? And ultimately, I was like, I can't skip the medal ceremony. First of all, it would be so bad if the podium just had two guys on it instead of three. That would just be a bad look. And then secondly, that was something that, when good things happen, I want to celebrate them. And it was one thing, maybe if it were the U.S. championship, I would have been a little more prone to skipping, but I mean, it's the Olympic Games. It's as big as it gets. So yeah, I changed my flight, stuck around for the medal ceremony, but I still went to altitude. So after the medal ceremony, I immediately went to altitude and stayed up there for like 3-ish days, hoping to maintain any altitude boost that I had, and then came down for the 5K and got a medal again. So I think it was the right balance that I found. But yeah, I was on the fence for a little bit, but then the more I thought about it, I was just like, I can't not be there when they raise the flag and when they put the medal around my neck. Like, I don't want to get my medal in a parking lot. That's going to feel so weird if, I that I don't know. You build that moment up so much in your head that I didn't want to miss it. So got both accomplished, got the altitude accomplished and the medal ceremony. Thanks. Amy was helping a lot too. There was a lot of late night conversation trying to plan that out.
Absolutely. And look, just for the ones who might not know, sometimes we have sprinters who listen. What's the big deal with altitude, man?
Yeah. So at this point, it's kind of become a requirement if you're a distance runner to utilize altitude to some capacity. I remember in the Tokyo Olympics, I think the top 20 guys in the 10K, the top 20 finishers all used altitude. Either they lived there or did camps at altitude. And the reason that people do it is that it's a little harder to breathe up there. There's a little less oxygen availability. And in response, your body makes more red blood cells. And red blood cells are what carry oxygen. And that's really important if you're a distance runner. So yeah, the thought process to going to altitude, training at altitude, living at altitude is your body gets in this hypoxic state and makes more red blood cells, and that is advantageous if you're a distance runner and help you feel a little less tired when you're down at sea level.
And that's exactly what I would have said and how I would have explained it if you would have asked me, because I know everything that
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah, 100%.
I know everyone definitely wanted to know that. So thanks for explaining it. And yeah, Wallace and I went back and forth, and Wallace was like, he's betting on himself. It's totally fine. I said, yeah, but we don't medal that often in the 10,000. The last one was Galen, and yeah, it was interesting, but it all worked out, and you medaled twice. And some people, I think maybe Wallace has asked this before, but if you are not now on the Mount Rushmore of distance running for holding, the American record, everything from the 10,000 down to the 2 mile, and now getting 2 medals in Olympic Games, what else do you need to do to cement yourself as the best male American distance runner that there's been?
Yeah, that's a tough one. People have won gold medals in the past in the men's distance races. Yeah, probably a little more longevity. I'm 27, so I hope to have a few more years to go, and got 2 more world championships before 2028, and then 2028 is just such a big one for so many Americans. I think anyone that is towards the end of their career is hoping to hold out through 2028, and anyone who is early in their career is seeing that as their prime opportunity to do something special on U.S. soil. So I'll be 31 in 2028, so still in range as a distance runner to do good things and be in sort of those prime years. So yeah, probably just a little more longevity. I think you brought up Galen. Galen has medals in the marathon and on the track. He was the face of U.S. distance running for so many years. So yeah, maybe it's to go to the roads eventually and try my hand there and see what happens. But people can make up their minds however they want on who the best person ever is. I mean, when I think of the best distance runners ever, I don't know. I think more of the old American milers, like the Jim Ryan types. In my eyes, he might be the best American ever. I mean, the guy was basically the best in the world when he was in high school. He was running like 350 to 353 on cinder tracks and with leather shoes with nails in them. I mean, that guy was incredible, an absolute transcendent guy. So I don't know. I don't like to think of myself in that company too much, but yeah, maybe when I'm done, people can set their rankings however they want. But yeah, what I want to do is just have more longevity. I'd like to have a nice long career and have the opportunity to call it when I want to and not when my body tells me. So that's the dream scenario. Probably won't happen that way, but we'll see.
Dude, maybe you're not the best. Maybe you don't put yourself on Mount Rushmore. That's debatable. Anyone can sit here and say. But what I will say is, for me, your new nickname is 2 Chainz. You got 2 medals. I'm calling you 2 Chainz, brother. So you might as well buckle up. We're in for it.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah.
And I'm about to say, so your AC chair, we watch all these distance races and we get done. So shout out to Will Lear. But he comes to me and he was like, freaking Grant, set the tone. Hit my butt, printers. Distance runners are holding it down. And so, I mean, look, if you are not familiar with our sport, it's sort of like we have factions, within track and field. But I just want to talk about right now your teammates. What was Paris like, man? What was it like interacting with? I mean, you were with the world's best track team. I haven't really heard much about that. The village and just sightseeing, and I mean, the highlight of it was young Quincy. Quincy Wilson. So I mean, like, did you have any interactions with anybody or have any fun while you were out there handling business as well?
Yeah, totally. The track team, I don't know exactly the numbers, but it feels like we're the biggest team, numbers wise. So you're always running into track athletes, and you walk down to the lounge where there's a TV and it's always the track athletes watching track. So I feel a little bad for the other sports because I feel like we kind of outnumber them a little bit, but hey, it is what it is. We usually bring home a lot of medals. So yeah, I think it's a fun environment still. But yeah, I mean, you rub shoulders with all these people. I've been in the game for a little bit now, so I've gotten to know at least most of the athletes that are on the teams. Obviously, some new faces like Quincy. But yeah, a lot of the people you see on the circuit and you see at previous world championship teams, and then you see them again. And like I said earlier, there's some people that, like a Ryan Krauser, this guy's won so many medals that it feels very routine for him. And, you look up to that type of consistency. But then you see other people like Kenneth Rooks, who, you're talking to a few days before, and, he's got big dreams, but a lot of people probably don't believe that they'll come true, maybe except him and his coach. And, he takes the lead with a lap to go in the Olympic final and ends up with a silver. And I think those stories are almost more inspiring than the people that have done it before, just because like your first one is just so special. I think you'd have to go back and ask someone like Ryan Krauser or Sydney McLaughlin and see, which one was the most emotional or special. I would guess probably their first one. So that energy to be around is really fun, and village life is really unique because it's so exclusive. The only people that are in there are other athletes or staff. And so many of my friends and family have questions or see on TikTok or whatever what it's like in there. And it's kind of fun to be in that little club, you know. The I feel like a lot of the big talking points for like the rooms, the beds, the food, all those things. The I had no problems with the room and the bed. The frame is made of cardboard. If anyone listening is still curious about that, the mattress is made of kind of spooled plastic. And I slept fine, but I'm a small guy. I'm a distance runner. You know, like the rugby players, you know, basketball, shot put, you know, bigger sprinters. Like then I would have had a problem with the beds, but I'm a small guy. Like let's be real there. So I was fine. And then I thought the food was fine too. I heard at the beginning of the games, the food was a little iffy, a little shaky, but I think by the time I got there, because track was in the second half of the games, they had cleaned up some of the problems and made the food a little better. And Team USA had access to a really nice training facility off of the village, and they had really good food there too. So, yeah, it's just a fun environment. And the last village I was in was in Tokyo, and that felt more like we were trapped because of COVID. You know, we were on this little like island in Tokyo Bay, basically, and it had, you know, military security around and a big checkpoint in and out, and we never set foot into Tokyo itself. And everyone was afraid to talk to each other because if you tested positive for COVID, you know, you were done. It didn't matter your stance on COVID or masks or whatever, like it just meant you were done. So I think everyone was a little hesitant to talk to each other, hang out. Whereas this time it was a lot more social, which is the way it should be. So I had a great time in the village, and you could feel like the momentum building, especially around the track athletes as we went on, and people were just getting business done. So it was a positive and supportive environment where, yeah, the distance runners were cheering for the sprinters, and sprinters were doing the same, and you know the throwers were invested in the field events and or the jumps, and yeah, it was great. It felt like we were a team, you know. I think in Tokyo a little bit because everyone was so separated. It didn't feel as much like a team, but this time it felt like people were watching that total medal count and wanted to be on the board for that. So it was different, and I liked it a lot.
I mean, the medal count, if I'm correct, this was the first time that the Team USA men scored in all individual track events except for the 800, but we were fourth there and set an American record. So this has to be one of the best showings for men's track and field, at least on the track event side. So talk about the synergy and the teamwork. You were right. I mean, it was definitely infectious.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it felt like it was historic even halfway through because we were just on a streak. Like everyone was outperforming what they were projected. Especially on the men's side, and not saying the women weren't doing well, but I think the women are always projected to do, you know, a really strong performance, and they gave a really strong performance. But I think the men often have lagged a little bit behind the women, probably in total medal count. You'll have to fact check me there, but that's the way it feels sometimes. And yeah, the medal count just kept racking for the guys, and it was kind of fun, you know. Basically, you talk to anyone on Team USA, like, what's the goal? You're in the final, and it was to medal. You know, I don't think anyone would have said top 8 or top 5, just because like that was kind of the expectation at that point, was like you're shooting for a medal. So yeah, the attitude was shoot for the podium and see what happens. And you know, yeah, what better time to have that attitude than at the Olympic Games, and I think people surprise themselves. So yeah, it was really fun to be a part of somewhat of a historic run for the men's side, and especially men's distance. That was really fun to be a part of. You know, Cole winning the gold was incredible. Yard getting third there, and Hobbs getting fifth, and you know, Hobbs doubling back in the 8, and you know, Bryce. I feel kind of bad when people throw the stat that we medaled in everything except the 800, considering that Bryce smashed the American record on his way to 4th. So it was still a historic performance after, you know, 2 rounds of the 800. But yeah, you know, Kenneth Rooks, I shouted him out in the steeple, and then our marathon boys did a great job too. 2 guys in the top 10. So that was like, in my eyes, the one piece that the men are always behind on is distance. So I was really proud to be part of a strong distance showing, and hopefully that's the norm now. We've got 2028 coming in LA, and I think everyone has their sights set on getting on the podium there. So yeah, it'd be fun if, like, part of me wants this to be this historic outlier run that I was a part of, but part of me also hopes that it's like that's the norm now. That happens every time. So we will see. Lots of stuff in between now and 2028, but yeah, it'd be fun if this becomes the norm.
So I will say this, man. I'm gonna put this in perspective just a little bit. I'm at 2 Olympic teams myself, but by all means, your team, this 2024 Paris Olympic team, has blown every other Olympic team out of the water based off medal count, records, etc. So, I mean, you're a part of history, man, and you were the first one to get a medal on that team. So, shouts out to you. Now, moving to 28, like you just referenced, I mean, I'm gonna quote Cat Williams. He said it's kind of hard to out. Fantastic, fantastic. So, by saying that, I'm gonna ask, how do you see us getting better in 28? I mean, we had a lot of young talent here, and then we have some people holding on. I don't know if Ryan Krauser can make it through 28. I mean, I know you just mentioned you're 27, you'll be 31 now. I mean, do you see us getting better moving forward? Do you identify any young talent or, any talent that is super consistent?
Yeah, I hope so. The thing about track is, I know this has negative connotation, but it's kind of a revolving door. Like, as an athlete, I don't know what's coming tomorrow. I don't know what's coming in 2028. Like, there's always someone, a younger guy, training to, take over. And I was that guy for a while. I view myself as a little more of a vet now, but there's younger guys that are really talented. Nico Young had a fantastic games, and he's, I don't know, 22, 23. Graham Blank, same thing. He had a great games in the 5K. I'm guessing he's maybe 22 or 23 as well. So a lot of what's that?
Parker.
Yeah. Parker had a great games. Like, there's tons of younger athletes. Quincy's what, 17? There's people that they might not even be in their prime in 2028. They might be in their prime in more like 2032. So there's always someone new that's knocking on the door, which is fun. And the thing about the Olympics, like, there's plenty of people I've talked to where they're towards the tail end of their career, but there's an Olympic Games coming up, and they throw everything at the wall to try to get to the Olympics and have one last go. And because of that, I think people that would have normally retired hang on for an extra year or 2 years and see what they can do, and that just elevates the talent pool a little bit. I mean, I'll be there someday too. I'll be limping around and thinking I can still make a team, and it might be time to call it at that point. But we'll see. I think the last time I think of like a really strong distance performance was or I guess men's track performance in general was 2016. I think that was a really good games for the men's side. So yeah, I think 2016, 2021 was solid, and 2024 was great. Hopefully momentum carries on from this one, but you never know. Just as the U.S. is getting better, the rest of the world is getting better too. I think that's something that people forget sometimes. Every day that you get better, everyone else is getting better too. So you got to keep up.
Same. Refresh my memory. Did you walk in opening ceremonies?
I did not walk in opening ceremonies. I was at altitude. So I'm big on altitude. I watched it. Yeah, I watched it. It looked fun and cool. That was another thing I was tossing up. Do I go to opening ceremonies? Do I stay at altitude? And I opted to stay at altitude, and mostly my thought process was like, hey, if this gives me like half a second in the race, I'd have to take it, and the race did come down to half a second. So, half a second over a 10K, I mean, that's a fraction of a percent. So if going to opening ceremonies would have cost me half a second and I got fourth, I would have been pretty pissed at myself. The experience looked fun and incredible. But I I had structured this whole year around optimizing everything I could optimize, and I wasn't going to make a decision contrary to that, right up leading up to the Olympics.
Did you meet Snoop Dogg or any celebrities?
No, I never met Snoop, man. Even at the trials, Snoop came like right after the 10K, and he was there after the 10K, and then he was there between the 10K and 5K, and then by the time the 5K came around, he was gone. So no Snoop for me,
All right.
unfortunately. That would have been fun.
I think some people in the office might be able to help you with that. So yeah, we'll happen before the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down to meet Snoop.
All right, cool.
There you go. I know, Wallace, there's the plan. Usually the team goes to see the president. Are you planning on doing that, Grant?
That's another thing I'm debating right now. So I had planned to go see my brother. My brother plays soccer for Toronto FC, and I haven't gotten to any of his games this year, but because I've been training, and that was one game, home game, that I was going to go see. So I've got to talk to him and see, family or the president. It's a little tough. I mean,
Team USA
We'll see.
meet the White House. Yeah, that's a big choice, man. That's a big choice.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, the sacrifices or decisions that athletes make are always interesting, and people don't always know all the different things that go into it. And and like you said, you planned your year around it, right? And I'm sure you're starting to plan for next year. And next year's a little different because nationals will be just 4 days instead of the long trial. So I'm assuming there will be no going to altitude and back, since it's only it's a Thursday to Sunday for the 10K to 5K if you're going to double next year.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be an altitude stint in between. I mean, the so much of this game is a time and energy allocation, like decision making. You can't be in two places at once. And everything will be pushed back next year. The World Championships aren't till mid-September, which means US Championships won't be till late July, early August. So the whole calendar is shifted a little bit. And yeah, there's no prelim in the 5K this time. So because of that, it's a straight final for the 5 and a straight final for the 10, and they'll be pretty close together. So little different planning going into that, but I don't think that's enough time to go back to altitude. So I'll stay down. I'll stay down and enjoy sea level and enjoy. Actually, I don't know if it's been announced where the US Championship will be yet, but yeah, enjoy whatever town I'm in.
And then I'll ask this. I know you've highlighted a few things throughout this conversation. For example, you got an invitation to the White House and you're having a parade. And I just want to touch on this a little bit, or have you speak on this if you don't mind. A lot of athletes, young athletes, and even some older ones who haven't made Olympic teams. I mean, there's the pinnacle of our sport is the Olympic Games. And there are a lot of athletes who have this idea that once I make the Olympic team and medal, my life is going to be completely different. It's going to be easy street. Man, I've made it. Few things have changed for you, but I mean, has it been enough? Are you excited about some things? Are you disappointed in others? Just talk about that.
Yeah, I actually yesterday I met up with one of my friends out here that lives in Boston, and yeah, he asked me that same question, like what has changed since the games. And honestly, the biggest change is there's just more attention. I have more requests to do stuff. I have more people in my ear, asking for things, and more cool opportunities too. However, my life hasn't changed. I'm still going to be living in the same place. I'm still going to be training how I train, and I'm still getting ready for next year. It's not like you get to the top and it's like, man, now I'm going to retire in my mansion. I don't think if you had that attitude, if you have the attitude that like once you medal, it's all over, you're probably not going to medal in the first place, just because I don't know, that's not a very sustainable goal to get you through all the hard training. So, I mean, my next goal is to get some more medals and hopefully get some different colors. I've got 2 bronze ones now, so some silver or gold would be nice too. That's my next goal. But the biggest way my life has changed, yeah, just more attention. More people talking to me about whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't say like fundamentally this is like completely life changing. It's been a goal of mine for a long time, and it's a dream come true. But come probably mid-October, it's back to business as usual. The the things that made me successful this year, I think will be helpful in making me successful next year. And I don't think by any means it's like, you know, there's still more to do. Maybe I would feel different if it were a gold medal. But because they were both bronze, there's still room for something better. So yeah, I still feel the fire and the desire to do something cool next year. So we'll we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna do everything I can to get back on the podium, but yeah, we'll see. I wouldn't say it's time to retire and sit on the beach though.
Well, hopefully you can get into any meet you want to now, which you couldn't before. And then also, I hope that your appearance fee has went crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is a thing that's changed. The money has changed, which is always nice.
Just a little bit.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's definitely true. So I won't put the pressure on you to say, when might you go to the roads, but it kind of warmed my heart earlier when you said, Galen medal in the marathon and you might want to do that. That kind of warmed my heart just a little bit when you said that. But I won't put the pressure on to ask you when. But looking at the next 4 years, are you already planning it now? Are you I'm going to take it 1 year at a time? What is your kind of goal? And on top of that, most athletes are never satisfied. What would be your satisfaction at the end of your career? So that's kind of a 2-part question, but
yeah. To the first piece on the roads, I would like to run a marathon at some point. You'll know that is coming when I run a half marathon, or like a road 10 mile or something like that. So I wouldn't step straight into the marathon. I'd want to do like a half somewhere, a 10 mile somewhere, or a 20K or something like that, just to see how it goes. See if I like it, see if I'm any good at it, and see if my body can handle, that type of training and racing. So, we'll see. I'd like to at some point, try my hand at it, see how it goes. I'd like to do it, before I'm completely out of gas on the track. I think usually that's how people do it. They go on the track until they absolutely can't compete anymore, or be competitive anymore, and then they go to the roads. And I think that's just not the way I would want to do it, because I'd rather still have a bit of energy by the time I go to the roads. I don't want to be destroyed in the 10K. Have no pop in my legs anymore, and then try to run the training required to run a marathon. I don't think that would go well. So, there's cool opportunities ahead. Have an off year coming up for the first time in years. So that might be a time to, try something new. And the roads might be that. I just medaled in the 5 and 10, so I don't think that's a sign to abandon the track. So I think I still have a lot of good racing on the track, but the roads, I think the roads will call my name eventually. Will it happen by 2028? I'm not really sure or not, but we'll see.
Tune in next time to see if he goes to his brother's football or soccer game, football like we're in Europe, or goes to the White House. How long will it take him to hit the roads? Will he wear his food chains to the club?
That's when you need the premium subscriber podcast. I'll spill all the decisions, all the secrets if you pay $10 a month.
Deal.
Sorry, Amy, what was the second part of your question?
I was just asking what's going to make, once you retire, when you're ready down the road, what's going to make you satisfied, right? Because athletes are never satisfied. We always want more. We want bigger, more colors, more medals, more whatever. But what is going to help you be satisfied when you retire?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, the idea of just feeling like I got everything out of myself that I could, would be incredible if I felt that way. That's more of a feeling thing than more of an objective thing. I think for a long time I had some American records but no medals, and that was something like, if I end my career with no medals, I'm going to be kind of disappointed. I won't have, this, the medals are the most important thing in our sport. Those championship competitions, like, they're, in my eyes, they're more important than getting an American record. I would much rather have a medal than an American record. That's just me. Other people might feel different, but that's how I feel. And yeah, now I have medals and I have American records, so I've got those things checked off. There's always room for different color medals, as I mentioned earlier. But I think when I retire, I hope I feel like I had nothing left. Like it was time. I got everything out of myself that I could, and it's time to, pass the reins to the next guys and be a fan. So when I get to that point, I hope I feel that way. But you're right. It's, as an athlete, there's always something better you can do. Unless you have the world record and a bunch of gold medals, which are very few people, there's always things that you can desire. So I'm sure there'll be a piece of me that won't be quite satisfied, but I hope most of me feels like that was it. That was everything I could give. I got everything out of myself, I hoped, and on to the next part of my life, where I'm not a distance running monk, making every decision based on what's best for my distance running, and can go to weddings that are scheduled right before the Olympic trials or something like that. That when you're an athlete, there's just things you can't do, and eventually it'll be nice just to be a regular person.
We look forward to you enjoying your first summer where you're not obligated to go to Europe or anywhere else.
Yeah. But yeah, I love this sport. I love this job. It's so nice. So I'd like to hang on to it for at least a couple more years.
So as long as you can, man, as long as it makes you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're looking forward to a lot more performances on the track, so we're excited for your future for sure.
Oh yeah.
Grant Fisher, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, we want to thank you for stopping by, man. Appreciate your time. I hope you enjoy anything and everything that you have earned and you deserve. And I know Amy will always have a special place in her heart for you based off some of these things, these stories we get to tell about how we help behind the scenes. Maybe the athlete didn't feel it, but she definitely, she held it down, and you did as well. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming through, and good luck, my man. Enjoy your time off.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Always nice talking.